Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now, Tyson Fury doesn't seem to believe that Anthony Joshua will still fight him, or at least he wanted to put a poll out on his Twitter page, and that was asking, does Anthony Joshua have the balls to fight him, or will he find a way out? Now, there was obviously a yes for people to say, there was also a no, and it was actually shocking to see that actually 51% of those who voted thought that he would find a way out. Now, obviously, these are Tyson Fury fans because otherwise they wouldn't be following his Twitter page. So they're obviously Team Fury, not Team AJ. There will be some AJ fans in there as well, obviously voting yes he will, but most of them will be Tyson Fury fans and not AJ fans. So that could be the reason why they voted that way. Do people still believe that Anthony Joshua doesn't want to fight Tyson Fury? Or maybe some of those who don't believe that Tyson Fury actually wants to fight Anthony Joshua? Well, at this current point, why would they have gone through all of these negotiations and gotten to the point they have if they were not insistent on making the fight? I do believe that both parties want the fight. I don't believe that Tyson Fury doesn't want it, and I don't believe that Anthony Joshua doesn't want it. Otherwise, as I said, I don't see them trying to get to this point for no reason at all. So the fight will happen. It will happen in June. We've been told that by Eddie Hearn. We haven't been told where it will happen and a specific date, but the fight will go ahead, and there will be two fights in 2021, regardless of what happens with governing bodies or situations like Deontay Wilder. Those things are in the past now. The interesting thing also about this fight though is Anthony Joshua is actually the more active fighter going in because he fought in December, whereas Tyson Fury fought in February of the last year. So by the time they get to the ring, Anthony Joshua would have been out for, 6 months? And Tyson Fury would have been out for over a year. So there is this inactivity around Tyson Fury this time at going in, which I wouldn't imagine would cause all too many problems, but still maybe a good run out in December would have been beneficial to Tyson Fury. He even wrote after making that poll about Anthony Joshua, just after, because obviously Josh Warrington was fighting, he spoke about that, and he said, yet again another victim of being inactive. You cannot beat being active in the sport of boxing. That is very important. Now, I wouldn't say that Tyson Fury is an inactive fighter to that extent where he's going to have trouble getting back in the ring and have a ring rust, but AJ is going to have that advantage going in for sure, which will be interesting to see how that matches up because also Tyson Fury has never been in a big fight back to back. He had the Klitschko fight, then he had like 3 years out and went back in against Sefer Seferi, then Pianeta, then Deontay Wilder, but he didn't have a rematch with Wilder. He then fought Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin. Now he has fought Deontay Wilder again, and he's going from a Wilder to Anthony Joshua. So it will be interesting to see how he goes from big fight to big fight, and if he can maintain that performance he had in the Wilder fight. Obviously, it will be different. It won't be the same as Tyson Fury. He must adjust because AJ is not the same fighter as Deontay Wilder. So this fight will require a completely different game plan to the Wilder fight, and obviously different tactics, and he will use different things. He won't necessarily be able to push Anthony Joshua on the back foot and go looking for him, because if he does do that, then that does leave him open to Anthony Joshua's counter hooks, and AJ does move very well. He's got a lot better footwork than Deontay Wilder. He's got better positioning as well. He can move in different directions also. So AJ is a more rounded fighter, so Tyson Fury can't necessarily just do the same thing, because just because it worked against Deontay Wilder doesn't mean it will against AJ. Different fighter, different horses for different courses. We've seen that with AJ in his last couple of fights, and even Tyson Fury himself, changing their style to adapt to their opponent. That is what is required at this level. I mean, AJ against Ruiz was different to AJ against Pulev. Against Pulev, he was going in there to get the knockout, but he was being smart, he was being mature. Look at that third round where Anthony Joshua dropped Kubrat Pulev. Yes, he did rush in, but he didn't throw caution to the wind like he did in the first Ruiz fight. I don't think we'll ever see Anthony Joshua do that again. So he was calm, he was collected. Yes, he was throwing a lot of punches, but he never put himself in a position where he could get countered with a punch he doesn't see coming, just like the Ruiz fight. So he had adjusted, he knew what he needed to do, and if he couldn't get him out of there, then it was going to take another couple of rounds. He knew he was the better boxer, could outbox Pulev, he knew he had the power to hurt him. So given that fact, it's only a matter of time before the knockout comes and he can hurt Pulev again. So that's what he done. He was patient, he was mature, and waited for the opportunity to present itself and stopped Pulev. But also the same thing applies with Tyson Fury. He had a different performance in the Otto Wallin fight compared to Deontay Wilder. He actually really struggled in that Wallin fight, although the last few rounds were all won by Tyson Fury, and it wasn't this kind of situation where Tyson Fury could have been stopped or Wallin could have won. I mean, obviously it's the heavyweight division, one punch can change everything, and it did with that cut, but there was no situation where Wallin was the guy who was pressing the action, the guy who was winning the fight, especially in the later stages. So those who say that the fight should have been stopped, does Wallin really want a cheaper victory? Because Tyson Fury was able to continue, he was still able to have the better of it in the last 6 rounds. Majority of those rounds went to Tyson Fury. So although Tyson Fury wasn't on the gas that night and it wasn't his best performance, Otto Wallin still couldn't beat him. And yes, there was that cut and the doctor continued to check it throughout the fight, but clearly he was able to continue, and he was allowed to, because I don't believe that Wallin posed the threat to continue to go after that cut and to capitalise on that with Tyson Fury. AJ would have been a different story. If AJ was in there with Fury on that night, then he would have gone for the finish, and perhaps the fight would have been stopped because he has that finishing instinct that someone like Otto Wallin doesn't necessarily have. So everyone is entitled to a bad night. It happens to every fighter. And the fact that Tyson Fury was still able to win does show that he is of a different level in the heavyweight division, but AJ's been there as well. And let's remember, Anthony Joshua has put together a string of top class performances against the top 10 heavyweights back to back as well. AJ hasn't taken any easy fights, and I think that will benefit him going into the Tyson Fury fight, having taken those tough challenges, especially early in his career as well. So that will give him the experience he needs, fighting a tough fighter, then going and fighting another tough fighter back to back. I believe that it is safe to assume that neither fighter is going to be overawed by this event. I mean, I don't know how many fans will actually be at the arena where they do fight, whether it will be 20,000, maybe some more, because we don't know where the fight will take place just yet, and with regards to fans, that is a touchy subject at the moment. Again, something we won't be sure about until the time comes. Hopefully things will be better and some fans from the UK will be able to go over to Saudi or wherever this fight may take place. It's going to be Saudi, right? I don't see it going anywhere else. And there have been rumours about China, Singapore, other places as well. But it's going to be Saudi, and given that cases are quite low over there, in June as well, more time passing, hopefully there will be plenty of fans to watch this spectacle in the arena, and fans from the UK and everywhere else around the world will be able to go and watch it live, because this is going to be huge, undisputed in the heavyweight division with all of the belts on the line. This is not something that anyone's really going to want to miss, and both fighters are well seasoned for this moment. As I said, I don't see either fighter becoming overawed by the occasion. AJ's had a big occasion in the Ruiz rematch, the Klitschko fight also, the Povetkin fight. There have been big moments in the career of Anthony Joshua where it has been almost make or break. The Klitschko one was extremely difficult because it was his 19th fight in his professional career. That wasn't necessarily make or break, but he did need to win that fight because it did come too soon, but also his career needed to progress from that point. So if he was unable to grind out the victory, then he would have been in a tough situation where he would have to go through a rebuilding phase, and that's not what he wanted considering the momentum he took into that fight. Same with the Ruiz rematch. It was kind of like, okay, he's lost twice to Ruiz. Had that happened, where does he go from here? But still, he was able to get the victory. So that shows that he can deal with the big occasions. Povetkin was a big occasion as well. Parker was a big occasion. Same thing with Tyson Fury. The Klitschko fight going over to Germany in front of its 60,000 fans. That was a huge occasion. Didn't seem to bother him at all. And both Wilder fights as well. It just seemed like this is what Tyson Fury lives for, and the same applies with Anthony Joshua. It's just what they live for. That is why this is a genuine 50-50, because you match them up like that, and their mindset, both of them are on a different level. You can see that going through their careers. Their ability is on a different level to other heavyweights in the division. So they are elite level, and the ones behind them trying to get their opportunities are world level. They can get to that point, but they need a big victory in order to get there. So in 2021, it all changes. It goes down to who is the best in the heavyweight division. This is about 2 elite level heavyweights fighting it out to see who is that guy, who is top of the tree. At the moment, there are no other fights. It's just undisputed. No other world title opportunities are coming in 2021. Obviously, that WBO interim championship against Joe Joyce and Usyk does come to mind, but the WBO title will be on the line for this fight between AJ and Fury. That is the most important thing. This year, that is what it is all about. Who is number one? We will soon get to find out in June. I do believe this fight is happening. Tyson Fury might have put a poll out there asking on his Twitter page if anyone believed that Anthony Joshua was actually going to fight him or get out of it, but deep down he believes that AJ will fight him. Perhaps that is just mind games anyway, and it wasn't a sincere question. That's probably what it was more than anything else, just mind games, and we know that he is king of that. It will be interesting to see how Anthony Joshua has resistance to those mind games as well in the press conferences. But guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.